Shout out to Yard Talk for putting me up on, well, she didn't put just me, but she put us all up on the roundtable on future college athletics with Senator Cruz that took place yesterday. Want to know if there was going to be some type of representation from, say, a FCS or HBCU or Division II, Division III program or, conference. Well, guess what? We didn't see none of that. But there were some interesting things that was discussed within that roundtable that Coach got to touch on because it's bothered me a little bit. It's bothered me a little bit. I'm trying to stop. Like, listen, guys, it's crazy when all of a sudden everybody want to sit down and do a kumbaya when the playing field ain't playing the way you used to playing on it. See, we've always had to deal with the playing field being slanted. You get what I'm saying? And y'all got away with whatever it was you wanted to get away with. I mean, we can go all the way back to 1979. We talk about that daggone TV contract, which, you know, you guys made sure FCS programs was not anywhere around to get any say as far as those institutions having their colleges shown on television as far as with playing collegiate sports. But since we are here, the NIL and collectives got everybody draws in a bunch. We're going to talk about exactly what's going down right after this. You know, it's your favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell and get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos and tap in a friend or two and tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to jump on in this thing. Because they're like, Coach, you turned up over there. Them folks that pissed you off. Boy, let me tell you something. I told y'all when this thing was, when it was kicking off, I said the foolery is about to begin. And the NIL was set up for athletes to have a better experience with the fans that they accumulated while they were over at the university. Selling a couple of T-shirts, they had their own brands, whatever have you. They were able to push their stuff out there and do what they need to do. And it was no big deal. Well, guess what? It has become a big deal because you got athletes out here getting paid millions and millions of dollars that these folks at these universities, these coaches, they are losing their freaking mind talking. So wait a minute, how in the world is an athlete getting paid just as much as me and I'm the head damn coach? You already know that's going to be a problem, right? And you know the one coach is sitting at the forefront. And I love this coach. I love Coach, but I'm just like, Coach, you're beginning to irritate me now with this madness. Because the funny thing is, you want to see change. You got out of the game because you didn't like the way NIL was going, the collectives were going. You didn't like it. So you say, you know what? Since I can't beat them, screw them. I'm getting out. So you went ahead and got out. So now you want to take this to Ted Cruz, Senator of Texas, who said, hey, let's have a round table about this. We've sat down, we had communication, we had talks about this before. Hey, I want, they want to hear his thought process on everything. If you're going to talk about Mr. Cruz, you stated that, and like I said, I'm not bashing what you did. I like the fact that you collectively brought folks to the table. However, when you use the phrase, even the playing field, I don't want to hear, it ain't just me. I think I can speak for a lot of folks out there that don't want to hear that daggone phrase again. You know why? We heard somebody else talk about even in the damn playing field, and the playing field is still lopsided. The playing field right now is spinning like your favorite CD in your daggone tape deck playing one of your favorite songs right now. And I'm just like, listen, enough is enough. Guys, you already know the playing field is screwed. The playing field has been screwed since the beginning of time. And the sad part about it is you can't say, hey, we want to make sure the smaller schools, the Division IIs, the Division IIIs, they're in the mix of everything that's going on. But guess what? You didn't have none of those programs there in the initial discussions. See how we do business? We're already on the wrong foot doing business. You have athletes, you had the two young ladies there that went to Power 5 schools. Yes, they did some phenomenal stuff with their NIL deals, and I'm proud of what they were able to do. You got the athletic director from the University of Alabama. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Let me give you guys a quick rundown of all of the people that was there. You had Senator Cruz. You had former University of Alabama head football coach Nick Saban. You had Senator Moran. You had Senator Tellis. You had Greg Byrne, the athletic director of Alabama, of the University of Alabama. You had Mr. Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC. You had former ACC student athletes, Senator Blackburn, Senator Manchin. Now, check this out. When I sit here and look at the players that's sitting there at this table right now, the ACC, you got, who is that? Florida State. Them folks was mad as I don't know what with y'all behind based on y'all not standing up for them when it came down to them playing in the national championship game because y'all got poo-pooed based on your quarterback getting hurt. Hey, I agree. That was bad business. But again, that quarterback being in that game, I'm going to tell you right now, I really didn't see how that was going to be a much of a difference with how Georgia was playing in that game. I'm just being real with you. I'm being totally honest with you. I just don't see. I mean, listen. Florida State got boat raced in that game, and it wasn't cute. They was trying to put a 70 piece up on them folks, and I'm just like, God, dog, somebody please stop, turn the water off this thing. This is just running too wild right now. But I get where you're coming from, and not only that, but then you got Florida State. They wanting to leave the conference. And you trying to you're putting stuff in place to make sure that they can't leave. So I get where you're coming from. Again, this table is set up with people, it's set up with most of the folks that are there at their table that have an axe to grind as far as with how NIL Collectives is done. Not only that, but Florida State is still pissed off at the fact that Travis Hunter decided he was not going to take his talents to go to Tallahassee. He was going to go to Jackson, Mississippi to go play for Coach Deion Sanders when he was at Jackson State University. Heck, you had a young man that's here from Georgia, from Buford High School that was supposed to be going to Florida State. He's like, nah, I ain't going there. I'm going to the University of Georgia. So again, you lost top tier, 5-star recruits that decided they was going to take their talents and go elsewhere. I get it. I get where you're coming from. Everybody is upset with this NIL right now because you're saying, hey, you know what? There's no way in the world these athletes would decide to go somewhere else if we didn't have a bigger control over how this NIL thing is working. Guys, let me break something down to y'all. Have y'all ever taken a look at yourselves in the mirror to understand exactly why this is happening? Coaches just be told, I'm being real with you. I'm being totally honest with you right now. Have you taken a look in the mirror at yourselves to get an understanding of why this is happening right now? It's happening. Things are happening in the manner in which they are with a lot of these conferences because people have gotten a little bit beside themselves as far as how things are being worked and managed when it comes to these athletes. There's no compassion there, guys. You think these athletes can't tell exactly what's going on? There is no development in a lot of these programs. The institutions, the boosters, and everybody are requiring these coaches to win immediately. There is no time for development. There isn't any. You forget, you got major contracts, you got major media deals that are out there right now. That's not going to allow you to put no crap on TV and say, hey, this is the best we got right here. It ain't going to work, guys. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. But again, I asked the question. I'm just like, listen, if you're going to do it the right way, then let's do it the right way. Bring everybody in here, sit them down, and get an understanding of what's going on. You could have brought the athletes in there after the fact. Sit down, bring the people in there that this is really affecting right now as far as what's going on. I get all of that. You got Mr. NIL that's over at, I think he's over at Winston-Salem State right now. This man got NIL out the wazoo that can sit down and give you an understanding of what's going on, but you don't want to talk to those type of people. See, we got to get out of the habit of trying to, we want to set this up to look a particular way. It ain't, listen, guys, I keep trying to tell folks, pictures tell more than what you could ever imagine. We got to get out of that habit of doing it. Again, Senator Cruz, I appreciate you for putting this together, but we're going to get to it like this. Athletes that's coming, Coach Saban said something that I completely agree with. I agree with him 1 billion%. The athletes are coming into the program, they're not developed. They're looking to come in, they might stay a year or so. They're looking to go ahead, transfer out, go somewhere else to do X, Y, and Z. You know what? You're right. Some of these athletes that are in these programs are not developed. There's players in the NFL right now that's not developed. They got trash daggone tendencies in which they getting their behinds cooked out there. But guess what? They're getting paid multi-million dollars to go out there on that field and look like hot garbage. And if you didn't understand what garbage is, garbage. I'm just, hey, listen. Coach, I'm trying to be nice with how I'm trying to tell this, but I'm just like, it's time, guys. Y'all got to understand. It's time to look at yourselves in the mirror as far as what's going on. Because none of this, it was difficult to really understand how you got it. History is why we are where we are right now. And the reason why I say history, because each state has different laws that's set up. You got the Tennessee state, the state of Tennessee and Virginia, they're using the Sherman Act against the NCAA. You got other different laws. You got the land grant laws and things of that nature that's set up in other states where you got institutions, they're not even being given the money that they're supposed to be given for their institutions. And we sitting here talking about NILs and collectives. We sitting here talking about we got a coach sit up here talking about developing players. Players ain't been developed, man, and God knows how long. Coach Saban, think about it. A 5-star athlete in a college program is worth $650,000 a year. I mean, like I said, guys, y'all are invested in these schools are invested in you guys to win right now. Not tomorrow, not 2 years from now, right now. And if you guys are not able to win right now, guess what? They'll find somebody else to come in there and do it. Senator Cruz say he wants. Senator Cruz and the other senators are saying, within the roundtable, they're talking about how they want Congress to pass a bill on NIL. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. The problem is Congress got their hands in too much stuff already as it is. Force the NCAA to do their daggone job. NCAA is a multi-billion-dollar company that does what? Other than pick daggone how many teams gonna play in the daggone national championship playoffs, how many teams gonna play in March Madness for men and women, and I mean, you find the teams that's gonna go in there and play for softball or baseball. I'm like, enough with this garbage already. Please, somebody tell me, what else does the NCAA do outside of clearinghouse, making sure that the athletes are situated with clearinghouse, because you're getting paid for them to get in clearinghouse as well. So help me understand exactly what do these folks do outside of those things there when you got money coming back into the NCAA from these schools. I'm sure when they go to these big bowl games, everybody's getting paid. But I'm just saying, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Put the responsibility back where it belongs. Not come in here and try to take over something and make these laws and all these other things move the way you want them to move, and then they don't even fit. And you got more litigations than what's already going on. Let the NCAA do their daggone job. But this is the thing, though, with Senator Cruz, he said something that, like I said before, caught my ear. It caught my ear. And he talks, hey, y'all want real and fair competition throughout the conferences, of play. And basically y'all trying to slow down the transfer portal. Because you say, hey, man, they too many of these folks, they're getting all these big name athletes that can, come in here and try to take over, do this, that, and the third. Go back to what I said before. If you're developing your athletes, you could go ahead throw you in a couple of athletes from the transfer portal while you're still developing your other players. Give them a time to go out there and shine. Give them a couple of series of games for them to fall on their face and get it together. And then you can go ahead and make a decision. Hey, man, look, you just don't fit the program. Hey, I recruited you in this thing. You're just not doing what I need you to do. But instead of telling them that, you sit back and you want to hold on to them as if, they're gonna finally find a way to get out there and get more time on the field, knowing daggone well they're not. But because of the measurables, you want to hold on to the athlete. Oh, he's 6'5". He's 330 pounds. Oh, he's 6'7". He's 365. Oh, he can move like a gazelle. Oh my God, I gotta hold on to him. This kid, man, he's fantastic. Moving lateral left to right. Oh my God, he can get up to the second level and block. He can go ahead and drive the man out the way and do everything we need to do. And the running back just need to run off his hip. But then you get that one or two times where that daggone player get his butt whooped out there on the field. Hey, come on out there, boy. Hey, woo, come on, let's go. You got to come on out there, son. You got to come on out there. You ready to put somebody else in there. So I'm just like, what are we doing? I mean, you have all of the top tier training facilities. You have all of the things that you need to train up these athletes. That's been the message that's been passed on to all of the athletes since the beginning of the term. Hey, you don't need to go to HBCU. We got all the stuff over here. We got all of the training tables and all these things, this, that, and the third. Now we complain about how much it costs. Oh, the athlete, who is that? The athletic director from the University of Alabama. Oh, the athletes, they come back in, in the offseason because Alabama has such a great facility for them to come in and work out, and the training table, and they're able to get the nutrition and things that they need to make sure that their bodies is taken care of. They get to come here and do. My question is this, guys: why aren't your athletes pouring back into the program? So then that takes me back to the coaches again. Coaches, how much of an effect did you have? How much of an effect did you have on your athletes when they were there in your presence? How much of an effect did you have on your athletes once they left your presence? I'm just asking. Those are questions. Those are questions that we really need to ask ourselves when it comes down to dealing with the athletes, especially if the athletes are not giving back to the program. And you're talking about this astronomical amount of money that's being spent every year on training tables and nutrition and stuff like that. Come on, guys, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I mean, if you want to even the playing field, we want to even the playing field, right? That's what we're talking about. Why wasn't the CIAA commissioner, Jackie McWilliams Parker, why wasn't she there? SIAC Commissioner Anthony Holloman, why wasn't he there? SWAC Commissioner McClellan, why wasn't he there? Why wasn't there at the roundtable? MEAC Commissioner, Ms. Sonia Steels, why wasn't she there? Heck, you got Southland Conference, Chris Grant, who was named the NCAA Division I FC, he put on the FCS Oversight Committee. Why wasn't he there? Along with any of the other commissioners that in these other D2 and D3 programs. Why weren't they there? I mean, if you want to even the playing field, then let's look at everybody. Because right now, all I'm seeing sitting at this table right now is all FCS Power 5 schools. They already got everything under the sun. The athletes are getting Pell Grant money. They're getting money for them going to class every day like they're supposed to. They're getting money hand over fist while you got these other athletes at these smaller schools, these smaller programs. Are they getting all of the bells and whistles that these athletes are getting at the Power 5 programs? Heck freaking no. And not only that, if you really want to even the playing field, I got one for you. You should start with this first. And this should be easy for you. This should be real easy for you. Because y'all want to talk about the scholars. Let's talk about some scholarships. Let's talk about scholarships. Even them daggone scholarships across the board. All Division I schools should have the same amount of daggone scholarships. FBS programs get 85 scholarships. FCS programs that are Division I get 63. Even the playing field. They're both Division I schools. FBS is football bowl. FCS is football championship subdivision. Now, it was all under one umbrella until 1973, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's when FBS came into play. Now, the purpose was to give certain schools with strong football programs a way to compete against each other on a national level. And they have all of the scholarships to do that with. 85 compared to 63, come on, man, what are we talking about? They can't get any better if you're not going to allot them the same amount of scholarships for them to go ahead and get out here and compete as well. Again, you want to put yourselves above everybody else. But now that the game has changed and these conferences are saying, you know what, screw y'all, we'll go ahead and do it ourselves. They're trying to set this up for it not to be a Power 5 anymore. It's going to be a Power 2. Watch what I tell you. Senator Cruz, you can sit and try to find a way to get everybody to mesh together to come up with a way with this NIL business. And you know what? It's not going to change nothing because the NCAA has been waiting to do this for years. Allow the power conferences to shrink them boys down so it could be less than 5. You're probably gonna look at 2. I'll say 3 at the max, but 2. And it's gonna be it's gonna be the Big 10, the SEC. ACC might stick around, depends. They're trying to hold on, add some extra folks over there. But the Big 12 and all them other boys, they're gonna have to find somewhere else to go real soon. Because the media rights is killing everybody. And that's what hurt a lot of these programs during the pandemic when some of these teams decided, you know what? We ain't playing no bowl game. Forget that. We don't even want the $5 million check. We cool. So guess what? When you go ahead and say you don't want the $5 million check, guess what ends up happening? Now you got to go ahead and cut some programs. You got to cut a couple of these sporting programs. And this is where we are right now. See, the thing is, when you look at, like you talked about the patchwork of the NIL laws, each state have their own laws. It goes back to what I said before. There's a lot of other laws that you have to look at that was created well before many of us was on this daggone earth. That affects a lot of the decisions that are being made, especially when it comes to a lot of these institutions, especially the land grant institutions. Heck, them folks can't even get the money that they deserve right now. Y'all complain about NIL? It seems like every time some money come up in some way, shape, or fashion, everybody want to find a way to get their hands on it to control it. And this supposed to go to the athletes. I mean, I give folks props. I give you props where you got some. I give you props with some folks. They have put some things in place to make sure that they got Q&As for people to understand exactly what's going on, and allow the athletes to move in the manner in which they need to move. And like I said, the collectives as well as the NILs. Nobody expected this to grow this big. Like I said, this was supposed to be set up for an experience for a lot of these athletes out here who have their own clothing brands, who have podcasts and things of that nature. Matter of fact, you got one major podcaster destroying who he was at University of Central Florida. He was a kicker over there. He had to choose between his YouTube channel and kicking for the team. The NCAA deemed him ineligible. He was the only one. A couple other folks had the same thing happen to them. So again, now that these athletes are out here showing you that they can make money doing podcasts or whatever have you, everybody's in an uproar like, wait a minute, we got to find a way to slow this down. We got to find a way to, to make sure that, the fringe benefits that they were getting before, we got to shrink them. We can't get them all of that. But I ask y'all the same freaking question. These other schools are not getting that same type of money. Why? But y'all complaining about the NIL money. So it's like, wait a minute, I'm going to find a way. Ain't nobody really making no money like that over the FCS. We ain't really concerned about that. But these kids over here in the FCS, where they making all this freaking money over here, we got to shut this down some kind of way. We can't. We cannot allow them to get too far out of control. Guys, guess what? It's already out of control. It's already out of control. He was with the collectives. Who was that? Darren Heitner, who was an NIL attorney, and you had a cabinet. I think that I mentioned the cabinet twins that went to they was at Fresno State playing basketball, and they ended up going to Miami, in which they were the first females to get their NIL deal with Champs. Like I said, what they're doing right now, phenomenal. Those young ladies doing a phenomenal thing. Russell White, the president of the collective associations of Power 4 conferences. They represent 34 collectives currently in Power 4 and Power 5 programs. Funny thing is, listening to what was being stated at the table, how they say, hey, you know what? If the university can get a hold of the collectives, because they wanted to be more so like a profit sharing where all of the athletes are getting some type of compensation, within the sports realm. Well, I'm like, guys, listen, if you stick to the original rules of what went on with NILs, then all of these complaints we got going on right now, I mean, I don't really think they would be complaints. You're going to have some folks complain because they feel like they should have to, but you got to understand one thing. If you're trying to get an NIL deal, if you're not marketable, then what are we talking about? And that was something that you should allow I want to make sure I get them ladies' name right. I do not want to crucify them ladies' name because they did some phenomenal stuff. The cabinet twins, they should have been allowed to speak more about what they were doing, how they were able to do, and what it took for them to continue to do as far as the NIL deals that they were able to get. This is why I say You got to have people in there that you're going to allow them to have a voice and not just try to put on a show like, okay, we bringing folks in here, we're going to make it look like this is one big kumbaya, and we just going to slam them with it. And everybody be like, yeah, I'm with that. No, they not with that. Because people that really pay attention to this know when the BS is floating in the room. And I'm like, come on, man, don't do that. Don't do that to the people because you know the people are watching. Don't do them like that. Like I said, them young ladies got NIL deals out the wazoo, and they were sharp enough to take what they were able to do, flip that with the NIL attorney that they have, and create more for others to come in there and do. And that's, hey, listen, more athletes can do that as well because that's reoccurring revenue that continues to keep going on and on and on, and not just talking about money right now. Now y'all trying to come in and find a way to say, y'all ain't gonna do this. No, we gonna know. And I'm like, no, guys, it's time to back off that. Like I said, if you want this thing to be fair, get them Division II programs, get them some real scholarships, and not them piece together scholarships where they got 36. Division III, they don't have any at all. Division III don't have any scholarships. They get merit-based everything, based on what the school can offer them, if they have the type of grades that they need for them to give them money for them to go to the institution. Or better yet, if they're part of a particular program, that program has financial means that they can give them a little piece of money for them to consider going to that university or that college. I'm like, come on, guys, it's time to go ahead and split this pie up a little bit better than what has been split, and not just for the top tier, because there's more that meets the eye of what's going on. You don't get to use, we want to make sure that it's, we make the playing field even. Bruh, what I saw was talk, which, you starting this thing, but you gotta put some substance with it. You had them young ladies sitting there, they should have been given a bigger platform to understand the NIL piece. See, this, like I said before, the coaches who are used to coaching yesterday, how they coached yesterday when they was winning. You need to look in the mirror and understand how it's going today, because the athletes that you were getting yesterday ain't the same ones coming in today. They're not. They're not. You know why they're not? Because the athletes are not in love with the sport. They like the sport. It's football, basketball, baseball, track. They like the sport. They're not in love with the sport like it used to be. Because it's too much of this. You on the phone all daggone day long. Or you on the computer, or you trying to look up this, that, and the third. You're not training like you're supposed to. It's like that, man. But like I stated before, each state has laws. And we got to understand what those laws are. Like I said, now I give Texas, I give the University of Texas, I give them their props, as well as a couple other universities out there when it comes to the laws. Because what they did was they put up Q&As for the athletes to see. And they use a program called Arms NIL Disclosure Form. And you got to go in there and put your information. They want to know who are the NIL deals that, you got set up, that you got going on. They want to know something about that. So like they're trying to get in your business to find out what's going on. And then, they'll let you know if it's something that's infringed upon what the university already have in place. Because that was a question that I asked to everyone early on, as far as, okay, what happens if the school is a Nike school, but then you got somebody like Yeezy want to come in here and say, hey, I want you to wear my Yeezy shoes, my Yeezy basketball shoes out there on the court and play ball in them. Or better yet, he come up and say, hey, I'm going to make a custom Yeezy cleat. I want you to wear that Yeezy cleat out there in their Under Armour school. That's a problem. So I'm glad to see that they have that in place. However, thought they were slick with that too, where they will allow you to use logos and colors of the university in your NILs, but you got to get specific permission. The NCAA said you can't do it. See, this is already where there's an issue. There's another issue as far as visas. How do the athletes that's coming over to the States on a visa, how do they get NIL deals? According to Texas, they can't. According to the University of Texas, they cannot. So I'm sitting here, I'm trying to understand, guys, like, again, the rules are different all over the place. So Senator Cruz, you got to start with your own house too, brother. Like I said, it's black and white. It's out here. It's out here for the world to see. I mean, again, we want to get things together. Like I said, everybody want to understand the rules. The rules were simple. They gave everybody the rules, but everybody wanted to reinterpret how the rules should go. They wanted to make the rules, beneficial to them. They weren't worried about how everything else goes. But I mean, yes, do the rules need to be explained? I think I believe they do. But again, each state has come up with their own set of rules as far as how NIL deals is going to work. But I will talk about this. Let me make sure I touch on this. The multiple litigations against the NCAA. Oh my Lord. The first one that's up here is it came up in November 2023 when a judge of Northern District of California certified 3 classes consisted of roughly 100,084 current and former student athletes in a class action lawsuit against the NCAA. While the lawsuit style in college athlete NIL litigation had technically originated shortly after Austin was decided in 2021, it was not until November 2023 that the significance and extent of the NIL litigation case became apparent. As a result of the class certification, the NCAA is potentially exposed to over $1 billion in claims related to current NIL-related restrictions, as well as monetary damages relating to the past deprivation of NIL-related opportunities, while many other NIL-related lawsuits have been filed around the country. The NIL litigation is certainly the most notable, both in terms of scope as well as the NCAA potential liability. So what Senator Cruz is trying to do, I agree. You got to get them rules in place. They need to be a little bit more broad as far as everybody to understand what's going on. But this is one of the things people ain't pay attention to. The NCAA stated in the beginning they were allowing the states to create their own NIL rules. Now, if they did so, okay, cool. If they didn't, then guess what? We're going to have a whole bunch of these going on. And there's other one I'm going to talk about this second. There's a couple of them here, but this one that really caught me was the one with the University of Oregon in a lawsuit styled Schroeder et al. Schroeder et al. Versus University of Oregon. And Schroeder, the student athlete plaintiff, alleged that the University of Oregon violated Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 by, among many other things, providing male student athletes with significantly more NIL-related training opportunities and income than female student athletes. The complaint emphasizes that the result of this alleged desperate treatment resulted in 3 male student athletes being among the 8th, 28th, and 76th highest NIL recipients in the country, while not a single female student athlete received remotely similar compensation. Schroeder is a landmark case in that it represents the first major intersection between NIL regulation and a university's obligation to comply with Title IX. Again, that one I'm going to keep a close eye on because I'm really trying to wrap my mind around how in the heck is Title IX and NIL. I mean, I get, the young lady is saying that she feels that she wasn't prepared for her to really get out here and be compensated. The one thing that she might want to pay close attention to, if you were not marketable, I'm being completely honest. I'm not just no dig, no nothing. If you're not marketable, guess what? Them companies not going to come talk to you. And that's the part of the game everybody has to understand. If you're not marketable, they're not going to fool with you. You have to have some type of presence where they say, okay, I can take my product, I can take this widget, put this widget in her hand or his hand, and they can go out there and sell his widget. And if they're not able to sell that widget, guess what? I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I hope, however it goes, I hope she, something happens for the young lady where she can go ahead and find a way to benefit from what's going on. I mean, all of this, like I said, all of this is crazy right now. And this is the last one that, this is another one that I spoke about this in another show where it was the University of Tennessee. They had the lawsuit relating to the conduct of Spree Sports Group and NIL Collective closely affiliated with the University of Tennessee in the recruitment of a student athlete in 2023. I believe that was the quarterback that they was talking about, supposed to get some multi-million-dollar NIL deal. Now, they say while the investigation itself is not necessarily novel, the fallout certainly caught the sports world attention As a result of the investigation, Attorney General from the state of Tennessee and Virginia have filed a lawsuit against the NCAA in the Eastern District Court of Tennessee seeking a temporary restraining order on NCAA regulations concerning collective involvement in recruiting. In state of Tennessee et al. Versus National Collegiate Athletic Association, the plaintiff states allege that the NCAA's NIL guidelines and restrictions on student athlete compensations violate United States antitrust laws. That goes back to the Sherman Act. That's what I was talking about earlier on in the video. If you stayed this long for what we've been talking about here, that goes back to the Sherman Act. That's what I keep trying to get everybody to understand. There's acts and laws out here that people are not paying attention to. When NIL became effective, that's something that a lot of folks did not pay no attention to, how your state was constructed, how they are being ruled, how they are being regulated under the rules that were put in place well before many of us even got here. And this is what's going to really kick a lot of folks in the behind, where they're going to be sitting there mad and upset because they're not getting that bread that they want to get. Hey, man, I'm supposed to get paid, man. Well, bruh, guess what? You know, the NCAA say this. Well, hey, we got a Sherman Act that says blah. So guess what, NCAA? You got to go kick rocks. So, yeah, I think that one, I believe the NCAA, they might catch a brick on that one. So if they try to put a cap on that, I mean, here we go again. Again, you said each state need to create their own laws. Well, guess what, NCAA? If you'd have gave everybody the laws, the rules, and regulations in the first place, it would have worked. And this is when the NCAA decided when they was given the cease and desist, that they, a temporary, when the court gave a temporary injunction for the University of Tennessee and the University of Virginia to continue to keep, doing business the way they was doing business, the NCAA came back with some rules. Said, okay, we're going to do this. But the thing is, why didn't you do the rules in the first place? So basically, I think what the NCAA is looking to do, they're looking to, as issues come about, you're going to start seeing rules be generated. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to start coming back saying, okay, hey, let's get our lawyers in here. Let's bring them in. Let's sit down and get an understanding how all of this goes. All right, cool. Hey, we got this, and this. All right, here go the rules for it right here. Boom. This is what y'all got to do. Now it's going to end up a back and forth, going back and forth to court. This is what we're going to see right here, because there was no rules put in place in the very beginning. Where there were some rules put in place, but they were not clear enough for everybody to understand exactly what's going on. And like I said, it's crazy. I mean, it's sad to see this go on, but this is where we are right now. Like I said, the NIL guidelines, that should have been put out there. That should have never been for the states to generate that. The NCAA should have did their due diligence to get an understanding of exactly what all is going on within that state, how that state is constructed, how that state was built from top to bottom. Go back and do your history. All that history we had to sit through and learn. We sit and clear. Yeah. Answer 7. I mean, that type of thing. All I'm saying is we got to get back to, now we got to go learn this stuff, get an understanding of what's going on, and understand which states have different laws that's going to tilt the scales as far as how it's going to end up benefiting the athlete when it comes to NIL deals and collectives. I mean, it is what it is. So, again, I know some of y'all like, Coach, man, you over there, boy, what you trying to be, a history buff? No, I'm giving you guys information based on how all of this is going. And like I stated before, it's sad to see the Title IX issue with the young lady over there at Oregon University. She feels the way that she feels, but again, you got to ask yourself that question. When it comes down to talking about exactly how everything goes, one, what type of state rules did the state of Oregon come up with when it came to NILs? And then not only that, but you had to come back and look at how is this going to work with the NCAA. So now we're about to see a whole bunch of mudslinging going on when it comes to all of this stuff that's happening right now. NILs and collectives has become the scapegoat for many of the institutions based on them losing money. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Because had the pandemic had not happened, had a lot of these conferences had not, their leadership did their jobs as far as making sure that the media deals was in place like they should have been, we wouldn't even be having these conversations right now. These universities understand what's going on. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. They're looking to get out here and do whatever it is that they need to do by any means to make sure that their programs stay afloat, because they know if they lose them programs, their university, bloop, gonna be floating in the bowl, in the flush it, gonna be floating. And I know they ain't trying to see their program or their university turn into a hot turd that bloop, flushed. So guys, Coach gonna go ahead and get up on out this thing. I know I held y'all long enough. This was a long one, but I had to really dive into the different points of what was going on, because a lot of this stuff, like I stated before, will have you confused and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But in order to level the playing field, as Senator Cruz said, Senator Cruz, you need to bring everybody to the table. You need to bring the D2, the D3, the FCS. You need to bring some commissioners in there. Let them sit down and talk. Y'all had a whole bunch of chairs that was sitting back there around in that room in Texas, in that room there that you were in. Bring some folks in there and let them talk. Let's have a real conversation about what's going on here. If you really for making change, to make the change, daggone it, so that everyone gets a piece of the pie and not just the big name schools. Because all we saw was Tennessee, the president of ACC, Alabama. You had the two young ladies from the last school they played at, I believe, was the University of Miami. And there's no slight at them, but I'm just saying those are all big name schools. You didn't have a Jackson State. You didn't have a North Dakota State. You didn't have a Tennessee State. You didn't have a University of Tennessee Martin. You didn't have a Memphis. You didn't have Texas State. Texas. You didn't have a Albany State. You didn't have a Wayne State. You didn't have a Oakland University. You didn't have a Ferris State. You didn't have an Eastern Michigan University. You didn't have a University of Toledo. You didn't have none of them schools in there. But what I'm saying is, and all of those schools are what? Those are lower tier FBS schools. Yeah, lower tier FBS schools. Group of fives. So all I'm saying is that if you really gonna be about it, let's be about it. That's all I got to say. Let's be about it. But Coach gonna go ahead and get on out this thing. But until next time, be the one and lead.